Hi there, welcome to... Oops, the cards got all messed up there. I'm not going to take those. Welcome to Island Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Gemini energy. And we're going to do this 10 card spread, and then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives. Because, we're all at kind of different emotional maturity levels. And, people are somewhere on the spectrum of having learned some lessons, and the truth might be some people in the world needless. We read about them in the newspaper, or we know them. And in their truth of their Gemini nature of free will, they're more aligned with being about themselves or the world, or, indulging their more immature, shadowy nature. We've all got our dualistic nature, which is what Gemini energy is about, and it's about what our truth is. Gemini is air sign energy of the mind. What is your truth? What do you love? What do you want to manifest? And some people love being just about themselves, and some people want it to be all about themselves, and some people want to be indulged, and some people look to other things to make them happy instead of love. And those are the things they want to keep investing in. Some people make it about money or materialism or status or ego or image. And some other people have learned some lessons along the way and tempered their more worldly nature to grow and mature themselves, temper their more worldly, beastly nature. And so when we read these cards, the cards have different meanings. And so we're going to see how different people would be handling this energy depending on how they harness their Gemini energy. And since Gemini energy is about what we love and what we want to manifest, and we have things we love and what we want to manifest, and we're dealing with other people in their own Gemini energy, just like a lot of the other zodiac signs, we're kind of looking for people who kind of harness those traits and characteristics and are kind of on the same page or have learned some of the same life lessons as we have or not. And kind of our truth is kind of similar in some major philosophies of life. So, the overarching reason for the reading is the world, and the world card is kind of thinking it's Aquarius and Capricorn. And Capricorn can be about what we view as victorious and successful. And Aquarius can be that we have this dream, but is it more about us or the world, or is it looking at life from a higher perspective and viewing it in our Capricorn Aquarius energy to be victorious and successful? In high vibe, the world talks about learning lessons. Becoming, here at the end of the story as the Nine of Pentacles, becoming more independent of our more worldly nature and being more caught up in ourselves and these things of the world to maybe become more independent of that. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles, which in high vibe is about truth and love. And then we have the Four of Cups, which is Cancer energy, about love, love of self, love of others. If we're willing to learn lessons in life, that means we have to get out of our more egoic nature, being about ourselves, more caught up in things of the world, all those other things that manipulate us, to become more independent of that, to know our worth and value. And the Nine of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles is Virgo energy. In high vibe, it's about knowing your worth and value, doing this inner work to free yourself from things that manipulate you, to love yourself so you can go take this inspired action in the world. Learn lessons, grow, heal, mature yourself. And the Ace of Wands can kind of represent all three of the fire sign energies. And in our more worldly fire sign nature, which could probably be the first 30, 40, 50 years of our life, we're pretty fired up about a lot of these things in the world. And as we kind of go on that journey and learn these lessons, the more some people get inspired by wanting to become kind of independent of that. They can still be in the same job, friendships, and relationships that they're in, but those things of the world and indulging myself or being more about me or more about the status or the ego or the image, I don't want those things to manipulate me to the degree that they did. And high vibe energy is being more independent, knowing your worth and value, having less things that manipulate you because you've gotten clear about your truth. And the truth is, you want to invest your time, energy, and effort into things that you really love. Just like people could start out their life and in a career field, maybe more to have stability and security, right? But maybe later in their life, if they didn't get in a career field that they really loved, later in their life, they might want to get in a career field more about what they really love. And the pentacles can also be our own unique talent, skills, and interest. And part of the thing is we're kind of going through life and growing up. Sometimes we don't even know what our unique talent, skills, or interests are and what really does motivate and inspire us and what we do love. But as we go on this journey of learning these lessons, coming into contact with all these other people to help us get clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't, seeing what we do more emotionally enjoy and what we don't emotionally enjoy, and what really kind of more motivates and inspires us. And in high vibe, it would want to be free to be your authentic self, hopefully from a place of love for yourself, love for others, wanting to get along with people. High vibe Virgo, again, that you've learned these lessons in life, that you're more stable and grounded within yourself and have learned to love yourself. You, in turn, offer that to other people, to be loving and encouraging to other people, to help them maybe work through some of their issues so they can be free. We need more people who are more free to live their authentic life than kind of letting their fear or their insecurity or their lust or their greed or their pride or their ego keep manipulating them, right? But there's going to be some people that are like, in shadow, the world can be like, nope, not doing that. I stop right here. And if I'm going to move forward, I'm moving forward in my truth. And some people's truth is shadowy Virgo can be in because Virgo is earth sign energy. In I'm more motivated and inspired by me or the world. And I want to indulge in these things, or I want it to be more about me, or I want it to be more about the status or the ego or the image. I don't want to do love. I get hurt doing love. And so they haven't freed themselves from things that stop them from investing in love. And everybody's got the free will choice to do that. Some people are like, nope, I don't want to do love. I get hurt doing love. I'm going to make my life about a whole bunch of other things. Might like being in relationships, but then it can kind of be about, and that's shadowy fire sign energy. I want to indulge in it. I like relationships. I like to indulge in it, but it can kind of be more like having sex than love. And then some people are like, I want to be in a relationship. That's the end goal. Or I want to have money and status and image, and I will invest in people who have those things that I want, or who I think don't love themselves, who will indulge me in a relationship. So it's one outcome or the other, kind of. And some people are still on the journey of learning some lessons in life. But what's going on in Gemini energy right now? We have the Knight of Cups. Everybody can be presenting themselves as a loving person because they want other people to be their friend, to be in a relationship with them, date them, marry them, hire them for a job, go into business with them, promote them for a job. So the Knight of Cups can be that some people are who they say they are. They are taking action from love because emotionally, in the Queen of Cups, that's their truth. And then that is how they act with other people. Other people, the feminine figures can talk about how people feel. Some people love repeating a certain pattern. They have a way of living life and viewing life, And part of that pattern can be either loving other people who seem loving because they're looking for people to love them, or loving someone who wears a false mask that presents themselves as loving, maybe hoping that person will change. But the people who are repeating a pattern are still motivated and inspired by it. The Six of Wands talks about that it seems victorious and successful. They want to move forward in it. They think it's aligned with their truth. And it is, based on whichever person they are in this scenario. And they'll keep repeating that pattern, some forever. But as they go, some people kind of would like it to move forward a little differently. The one pentacle can mean that we've kind of done something where we've kind of done something for quite a while, just like we could have been in a friendship a while, a relationship, or a job, right? And the nines can talk about that we're at a completion. The opportunity is there to complete a cycle. And if we add the one pentacle to the nine pentacles, we'd have the 10 of pentacles. And the opportunity is there for people to learn the lessons they were meant to learn from that phase of life, to kind of be inspired to take the lessons that they've learned from that phase of life and kind of love and believe in themselves that I'm kind of ready to go to the next phase of life, just like we did going from age 18 to age 21 to age 25. In high vibe, it would be that out of love for ourselves, we're inspired. The Six of Wands is Leo energy, fire sign energy again. I kind of have hope and faith and belief in myself and in my dreams. And I've offered love to deal with some of my inner conflict and my ego, and get out of my ego about other things that didn't work out that I had to move away from. And then I could have gotten a new friendships or relationships or a new job. And if those people, we seem to kind of be on the same page, wherever we're at in our truth, we might want to move forward to have a new beginning. Sadly, some people are going to try to move forward and they're kind of not realizing that there's rules to this game of life. And that can be when people are operating from a shadowy Leo energy within themselves, kind of more from ego. I want to move forward. I want to have a new beginning. But they maybe haven't still learned to love themselves, or they don't really want to do love. And then shadowy Four of Cups and Cancer energy that they can harness is I think I can just use my emotions kind of more manipulatively, my sexuality manipulatively, my resources, my looks, my sexuality, my charm, my words. I can use all those things to go to that next job, friendship, or relationship. Thinking shadowy energy is kind of where they want to cheat the justice system and think they can, just maybe haven't been enlightened to the truth yet, that there's rules to this game of life. Because we, in our more egoic nature, could know, especially if we're going to be in a romantic relationship, that it should be about love. That should be what motivates and inspires us to get in certain jobs, friendships, or relationships, right? But some people think, no, 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 I don't have to do that. I know how to present myself as loving. I may be charming or attractive. They want to repeat an old pattern, but they create the illusion. High vibe Leo is being authentic. High vibe King of Cups is you are who you say you are. But some people harness that energy in a more shadowy way. It's kind of like, I have an idea. Ding, ding, ding. I'm just going to present myself as being that type of person. I have known people like that. I might have grown up with people like that. I'm going to act like them. That's it. And that's shadowy Leo. Like, I'm going to put on a show. Look at me. Look at me. I'm going to move forward with this idea, maybe thinking I'm so smart. The Ace of Swords can represent all three of the air signs, Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. And shadowy Pisces of the Knight of Cups can be, I'm going to create an illusion. Because that's just, some people intentionally do that. Other people kind of don't realize they do that. Because high vibe Leo would be that you really are being authentically who you say you are. And, again, we have to kind of come out from behind our ego to be more authentically ourselves. And, so we kind of play these games in the world, just like, because we're not really quite comfortable in our own skin to live our more authentic life, where I am motivated and inspired to treat other people the way I like to be treated, to be just and fair. I have learned these lessons in life. That's my truth. That's what motivates and inspires me. I'm not going to go out in the world trying to get people to like me. I'm going to be myself, which in truth, for high vibe people, would be I am motivated and inspired to work cooperatively with people and get along with people, act with character and integrity, treat them the way I like to be treated, friendship or romantic. And if people want to work together with me in that way, great. Then we move forward together. We have both are motivated and inspired by truth and love. And if I go do that in the world, and I go out in the world in that energy, and the wands can be about communication, the swords can be about communication, the Knight of Cups can be about offering people love. If I do that and I meet some people who kind of like, I want to move forward with you, but then as time goes by, you kind of realize your truth is different, that they really don't do love. And they could be more about themselves, more about the world, how it benefits them and their status, ego, image. And then you kind of feel like, I don't really think you're really motivated and inspired by love. And that's when some of the more high vibrational people who harness this energy in a more high vibe way might communicate to those people who have been moving forward with them and want to keep moving forward with them, kind of like, wait a minute. I think we need to get clear about some things, like, we've been moving forward for a while, just like somebody could say that in a job, a friendship, or relationship. And I kind of thought we had the same dream. Pisces energy can be about what our dreams are and what I viewed as victorious and successful, and what I'm kind of motivated and inspired by. And as we've been moving forward, is that your truth? Isn't that your truth? What kind of drives and motivates you? I might kind of get the illusion that, you're more from a worldly perspective of why you're in it. Just like if you had high vibe people that work at a company, and those people are more independent of their more, it doesn't mean they don't want stability and security. These cards represent stability and security. They're just more independent of being more about themselves and just the ego and the image of it. They really are inspired by it. They want to keep investing in something, to keep growing and building it. That is something they're emotionally invested in, that they love and that they're inspired by. And they would like other people who work there that equally are kind of motivated and inspired to be there, other than for like, yeah, I want to keep moving forward with this. I want a job. You're just there putting in the time to kind of get the paycheck. Well, that's different than having an employee who really does want to be there and put in work and effort and is kind of inspired to be there and emotionally invested in it. It's kind of the same way, kind of if you're in a relationship, right? Well, yeah, I want to be in a relationship. Well, that's different than being in a relationship with someone who's like, I love you. I'm inspired to be in it. And Virgo energy talks about putting in work and effort from truth and love. That's much different than having someone who, well, I want to be in a relationship, you know? So it's kind of the difference of, are you being authentic? And some people could tell some people, I don't think, I could like you, you could like me, you could like the job, I could like you working here. But we're really looking for people who really want to be there, not, it's kind of like doing the bare minimum, just enough. And then people kind of feel like, I don't feel like you really want to be here or really more emotionally invest yourself. You create the illusion you do, but and sometimes when people could tell people that, workplace, friendship, or relationship, some of those people might step up their game some. And then we go like another round. And then it's kind of like, I still kind of feel like, you know, uh, and then in a romantic relationship, it could feel like shadowy Four of Cups can be, I feel like I'm offering you this cup of love, and I feel like you don't really, kind of like you use your emotions maybe more manipulatively, right? And so, and then why are we in it? Is it more for these other reasons? Are people creating an illusion just because they want to be in a relationship, want a job, stability, security, but kind of looking for people who really seem to really, it's really aligned with their truth, not where it's not their truth, And eventually, in a more mismatched situation, whether it's friendship, job, or relationship, we can be in friendships, relationships, and jobs for a long time. But eventually, we kind of do get down to that core truth, because it's kind of like you could look at the Nine of Pentacles of these different phases that we go through in working through things. Can we work and come to agreement on this that we do in friendship or relationship, or grow and heal and mature ourselves in certain ways? But are we willing to kind of step out of our comfort zone? And, the next phase could be where it is less about those reasons of the world, and it is more within yourself. You're really motivated and inspired to do that, and also close out an old chapter. And that's where we could get down to where some people, and Gemini energy is about love and what we want to manifest and kind of what our truth is. And some people would be like, well, I do want to keep moving forward with you, but I don't really want to do love. At the heart of the matter is the Ace of Swords. Do you live more from your mind than your heart? Well, it makes sense. It's practical and logical. And living more from your mind than your heart can be that you're kind of self-protective and defensive, and you kind of wear a false mask, and you're kind of operating more from your ego, which can also be your defensive nature. Or people can get in it, but it's like, oh, by the way, I want to stay right here. If we get too close to where you would want me to kind of step out of my comfort zone, or get out of my defensive nature or my ego, or being a little bit more about me or the ego or the image of it, or grow up and mature myself, Eh, you know, you'd have to work through your inner conflict about closing out an old cycle, an old way of thinking, an old way of believing, an old way of perceiving yourself, viewing others, what you think is just and fair of how to treat people. Love is supposed to be just and fair, and it's supposed to be authentically motivated and inspired by love. And some people are more emotionally mature. Some people try to present themselves as more emotionally mature, but as time goes by, you kind of see that there's some lessons they haven't learned. And it could be about just being more independent of their ego, of the world, of other things or people in their life, and that it takes work and effort. And it is supposed to be just and fair. Everybody has to put work and effort. But some people could think, well, if I look like love, quack like love, act like love, enjoy being in a relationship, want to be in a relationship, but the truth can be they're aligned with their more worldly nature and not their more loving nature. And that can be our dualistic nature. And, the earth signs are on the opposite side of the zodiac signs from the water signs. And we move forward most successfully. And as we keep growing and maturing, it's about getting more balanced. That's just and fair. And the sixes can talk about balance. Some people are more balanced, and the fire signs are on the opposite sides of the zodiac of the air signs. Out of love and being inspired, I am going to do this work within to love myself, to offer love to the past, to see the truth that I need to learn to love myself and invest in myself and become more independent of my more immature, codependent, shadowy, more about me, more about the world nature. I need to close out that cycle if I want to be in a more stable, grounded, emotionally mature, loving energy. But again, some people have the idea, no, I don't have to do that. I just need to find someone to get in a relationship with who's like that. And then they have this illusion that it's going to work out the way they want. And it can work out for quite a while. People could go have a new beginning. They get hired for a new job. They get in a new friendship. They get in a new relationship. They get married. But if the truth is they're really not more aligned with their loving nature, eventually the people in their life who could have love for them don't really want to keep moving forward with people who, in their Virgo nature of what their long term goals are and why they're in it, one is in it to put in work and effort inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness. And the other person might be more about them or the stability or the security or the status or the image or to indulge in it, all the perks that come from it, but not really love. And that's when the other person feels kind of emotionally manipulated. And I don't think you're really inspired by love. I don't think the Two of Cups can be, again, like what we're kind of more aligned with in our dualistic nature of our Gemini. And some people love their ego nature, which can be, again, being about themselves, more about the world, their self protective nature, the world. And so they don't want to. In the Queen of Cups, it can be, I don't want to become independent of this truth. This is my truth. That's how I want to move forward. And other people, are like, well, that's not my truth and that's not how I want to move forward. But, we all had some lessons learned and we all could have gotten caught up in the illusion. And we all at one time could have been more caught up all these different phases of our life of things that we loved and things we wanted to go indulge in and things we thought would make us happy. And for some, we could have had some great friendships and relationships. It's just that it can get to a place where one person could be ready to move forward a little differently, inspired, kind of listening to their intuition from love. And I think they would have offered truth and love to the people in their life. And some of the other people were like, nope, I don't want to do that. Because it would require them to detach from their more worldly view of life and align with their more loving view of life. And for some people, they're like, that's not my truth. I like this. Let's keep doing this. Works for me. I'm happy. Well, of course, if you're someone who is kind of wearing a false mask and you're kind of more about yourself, maybe manipulative, maybe stubborn, maybe bossy, maybe controlling, maybe immature, but they're in a relationship with someone who is more motivated and inspired by love and is loving and encouraging and trying to move the relationship forward and probably putting a lot of work and effort into it, yeah, of course it works for them. It's just that the high vibe people aren't in a relationship with someone else like that. They're in a relationship with them. And those people do not want to let go of a way of living life, a way of viewing life, to move forward in life differently. And that's when some relationships can end. So some people are in the midst of something like that. Some people have already been in it and they've become independent of it and moved on. And it really, everybody could have been sad, but everybody has their truth. I don't want to be more independent of the world. And there might be friends or family or people in my life. Maybe they would turn their back on me if I did become more independent of them. And then those people, sometimes when we are in relationship with people and they have people in their life, friends or family, whoever, if you're just a friend to someone and that person is married, well, of course, their primary relationship, that should be the priority in their life. And if, say, that's what they need to focus on, that's what they need to focus on. Could some of them love to go on, keep moving forward with you, but maybe some of the things would require them to be single, is what the Nine of Pentacles can talk about. They're not single. So it's like, this is my priority, and, we have to understand that. But sometimes people have friends or family members who they live their life like this, and they never become more independent or free themselves from things that manipulate them to really be more inspired by love. And so maybe they can be more superficial, present themselves in a lot of ways, could be seeming to be very loving or nice people, but it can come across maybe a little superficial and shallow, and it's maybe more about the status and the ego and the image, or maybe more about indulging people or them being indulged. And then if someone in that friend group or family group is in a friendship or relationship that kind of doesn't live their life like that, well, some of those people don't like it. And then some of those people could communicate with some of the people that, we think you should align with us and you shouldn't go do that. And you shouldn't hang out with those people or date those people or marry those people or stay married to those people. They're different than us. They're more independent. Didn't you love it when we were all hanging out or we were friends or whatever? And that's when some people, because they love those people also, we can have these different people in our life. We can have people in our life who are more loving and encouraging of us to be more independent, to love and believe in ourselves. Well, and we can have love for them, but then we can have people in our life that kind of align with us in our more worldly nature and fear nature, conforming to the world, or certain habits or ways of acting or behaving in the world, or indulging in things. And we can have love for them too. And then some people, it can kind of get to where people, the high vibe people, aren't going to try to manipulate and control them. Doesn't mean they couldn't get angry, you know? But out of love for you, you got to do what you got to do. I'm moving forward kind of regardless. But I'm not going, just because I could love you, I'm not going to let these things that maybe manipulate you, or people, or the world, or your ego, or your fear, or whatever, manipulate me too, because those things don't manipulate me that way. And I want to move forward differently. Maybe at one time, some of those things, or some of those people, or some of those things that we indulged in did manipulate me that way, but they don't now. And I love you, and I'd like you to move forward with me. But if that's not your truth, I have to accept the truth of it. And if some people said, no, I want to keep doing this, or, maybe this isn't my truth. And, again, we get in friendships and relationships with people. We're trying to get more clear about what our truth is. They're trying to get more clear about their truth. Maybe everybody could have had the best of intentions. But then eventually it kind of gets down to, what is your truth? What motivates and inspires you? Are you more independent, or are you more codependent? Are you more independent of your ego nature, or other people, or the world, and making your life being more driven and motivated by those things? Not want to ever step outside your comfort zone. So, and some people in our life, we love each other, again, brother, sister, mom, dad, adult children, friends, job people, and we keep moving forward with some of those people. And we all kind of are loving and encouraging and supportive to each other, just like even some of the people we're not in relationship with anymore. We could have been loving and encouraging people to each other. But then how do we want to move forward next? And then we can get to, kind of the end of the road. We could have even been loving and encouraging to each other, maybe after something ended, because this is the overarching reason for the reading. And we could have been loving and encouraging to help each other overcome, like we could have both, uh, something happened with a good friend, or a friendship group, or a romantic relationship, or a job, and then, we're going out in the world and we meet some new people. Well, then we you know, could have been loving and encouraging people to each other. But then as we kind of are loving and encouraging to each other, maybe then we kind of more get out of our ego about some things that didn't work out in the past. And we're all kind of maybe getting a little more focused on like the future and how we want to move forward. And then that's kind of when we can realize that, maybe even it's not, there can be love there, but, you know, uh, not enough maybe that some people feel like, the Knight of Pentacles would want to become the King of Pentacles. The King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married suit of the deck. Some people are like, I could love you and I could appreciate you and all these things, but I don't think, I think if I did that, it'd kind of be a disservice to me and you. And I don't know that, I think I'd maybe, it has to be right, you know? So some people could end some relationships because of that. But everybody is kind of moving forward right now based on their truth, their long term goals, what motivates and inspires them. Love, money, being more about themselves, creating an illusion in the world, trying to confuse people about the truth. Look, I've moved on. Look, I've healed. Look, I've changed. Look, I got a new job. Look, I must have healed and grown and matured myself. I got in a relationship with a loving person or a stable, grounded person. I must be a loving person and a stable, grounded person. Where maybe before they weren't. But for some people, they're just creating an illusion. And for some of you, you know some people who are like that. And you might also know some people who create an illusion. You should move forward with me. Your dreams will come into reality. Like this will lead to where people think it's going to lead to. But you also might know some people create illusions about that. That they'll enjoy the relationship for as long as it lasts. But if they've got to quit being more about themselves or not be single anymore, yeah, sorry. I guess this is where we part ways. you know, guess I'm not willing to do that, but I did create the illusion. I'll have the idea. I will create an illusion. Oh, and this just made me think of what something shadowy people do. Some people were in a relationship with people, but it ended. It could have ended again because some people, one or the other people maybe didn't want to get in a more formal commitment. One person could have done some things that were kind of immature or shadowy or prideful or manipulative. Um, and so somebody could have ended a relationship. Well, then that kind of shows people's different, what I'm about to say. I mean, we could all have done some of these things when we were younger because we were more immature, right? But when we get older and people use some of these tactics, it's just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in junior high or high school or college or like in a relationship with a 21 to 25-year-old, and we're not 21 and 25. But, and some people do not realize it's still trying to manipulate people. It's like it continues to try to manipulate people. Like, I might have done something immature. I might have been kind of stubborn. I might have been bossy or controlling or whatever. And so the relationship ended. Well, then they have this idea, I know, I'm going to create an illusion that I've moved on from them. And then they go get themselves in another relationship with someone who they should not be in a relationship with because they're only using that person to try to manipulate someone else, hoping that the other person will be sad that they've kind of moved on. And then hoping that because someone then might get more in their ego about it, that they will make them an offer again. And I just think when high vibe people more get out of a relationship, they see the truth of it. Would they like it to work out? Yes. But they've already probably seen the truth that people are prideful or defensive or wear a false mask or immature or more materialistically motivated or don't want to be in a more long-term commitment. And they're moving forward in a relationship being more truthful and authentic. They really had become independent of something else. And they really were being authentic when they could have gotten in a relationship with someone else. Now, does it mean those things will necessarily work out? No, because like with every relationship, you got to get to know each other and then Sometimes because, you know, where you want to move forward next as the relationship moves forward, or kind of realizing people were wearing a false mask and you kind of got caught up in the illusion. But they weren't getting in that next relationship to try to manipulate someone. Now, if that next relationship didn't work out, would they be willing to maybe consider some of the other people that they had dated? Well, sure. Depends on what the reason was why that relationship didn't work out. Maybe people were younger. People weren't ready to be in more formal commitments. Other people did want to be in a more formal commitment or get married or have children or whatever, and someone else wasn't. Well, then if they get in a relationship, maybe do get married, have children, and then that relationship doesn't work out, yeah, they could definitely connect with someone that they knew before, kind of like to see, are you still defensive to being in a more formal commitment? And they might find out, oh, I guess they still are. I guess I kind of thought that person would kind of work through whatever it was that made them defensive to being in a more formal commitment. And everybody could have their opinions on that. It's like, I guess that's for them to work out and debate their points about why some people don't want. Because I suppose you could feel like if somebody feels like they know that they love you, why wouldn't they be willing to get in a more formal commitment? I mean, I know I read, there's a channel called The Soft Underbelly. I don't know if the word, anyway, if you were to go on YouTube and do soft underbelly, I don't know if I'm missing a word in there or not. But anyway, it's generally interviews with people who have really had some hard luck in their life. But one time he interviewed a lawyer, and I don't remember anything in that video about like that guy's on the streets now, but the guy was, I do believe, a divorce lawyer. And I think he was divorced, but he said he doesn't it's not that big a deal in a way, like just get a prenup. Like basically the assets you had coming into the relationship are the assets you could take with you when you leave. And then from that point forward, you could do joint, to cover bills and all that stuff. But that, like, if you own the house, if a divorce happens, you take the house or blah, blah. But things from that day forward, it would be, I don't know. So that would be something for some people to work out. But people are moving forward. Some people are wearing a false mask, some people aren't. As they're moving forward, they're dealing with other people in the world. High vibe people have learned some lessons in life. And they have learned that not everybody is who they present themselves to be, male and female. And because of these lessons they've learned, and they've also probably done work to get balanced within themselves. If you're going to present yourself in the world as someone who is motivated and inspired by love, internally, emotionally, that's the truth of who you have to be. And then the sixes can talk about balance. And the truth is, you are being authentic and truthful, stable, grounded, having hope and faith and belief in your dreams. The world, I don't want to repeat a past cycle. So I'm taking these lessons that I've learned. I don't want to give up my dreams and give up on love. I'm going to go out in the world feeling stable and grounded within myself, listening to my intuition, and get to know people. Offer people truth and love and encouragement. If I'm single and some of those people could be potential love interests, I'm willing to get to know them. And then from the Six of Wands down to the One Wand, can be working through the Five of Wands, which is also Leo energy. I'm going to get to know people, to find out what their truth is, what their dreams are, maybe some of the lessons they've learned in life, some of the things that motivate and inspire them. And if I work through that Five of Wands, which can be any inner conflict that I have, and I feel like we harness our Leo energy and we're inspired to move forward by the same Ace of Wands, because the Five of Wands plus the Ace of Wands would make the Six of Wands, those would be people I would be more willing to invest in with my time and effort and emotionally. And the people who, as time goes by, I kind of see, yeah, no, I kind of still think you have some illusions about yourself, or caught up in the illusion of the world, or have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship, or just more want to indulge in a relationship. They will kind of stay an acquaintance and I'll keep moving forward. They are not someone I'm going to more emotionally invest in. And some of you were in relationships or friendships to begin with on how you're moving forward. And some of those people you'll keep moving forward with. And you or the group will all kind of listen to your intuition about the different people that you each meet and see who's kind of more on the same page as you to be in your friendship group, or someone that you and your relationship partner have get more involved with or not. Um, and if you're already moving forward in a relationship and someone communicates to someone maybe some truth, and it could be someone that someone loves, but again, it can be an adult child, a brother, sister, mom, dad, friend, whoever. But it could be a former romantic interest. And that person tells you they've closed out an old cycle and they're moving forward in life differently. Some people, no matter what, because of the type of people and who they're moving forward with, could say, kind of from a place of love, that's great. I'm so glad that, if you had some lessons to learn, if you had some things that used to cause you inner conflict or people that were manipulating you, that's great. That's what loving people. Other people offer people truth and love to be encouraging, because we need more people to hopefully learn lessons in life so we can be happy for them. But the truth might be that some people would tell people that, depending on if this is a romantic interest and they're already in a relationship, then it might be the truth is I've moved on. And, though I wish you peace and love, when that didn't work out and I was moving forward, I could have met someone and, I've kind of closed out, because the world can be about closing out a chapter, and I'm moving forward in a new beginning. Other people in that situation, it might cause them to really have to think about their life. Really think about, if it was a romantic interest that didn't work out, and then I had to move forward, depending on how, and again, people could maybe, you know, reach out to someone in a way like, because you could just meet somebody in a social setting or something, right? Um, and you might want to figure out the truth about what they have to say. And depending on what that person tells someone, if they think that person is being truthful and authentic, or if they think that person is kind of trying to create an illusion, and because that can be kind of a shadowy Pisces energy that anyone can harness, where it's kind of create an illusion to confuse people about the truth. you know, um, some people just might keep their distance from those people, whether they're in a relationship or not, just to maybe think about it more. Because again, Virgo energy can kind of be about doing this inner work within yourself to try to get more clear about your truth. And um, again, regardless of who that person could be in your life and how your life is moving forward and what you're doing and who you're hanging out with. And, and it might really cause some people to really think, should I keep moving forward in my life the way I am? Or do I think this person has like healed or grown or matured themselves and is being authentic? And would I be willing to take that cup of love they're offering and kind of get back in a relationship with someone? For other people, it's not someone you know, but some people were moving forward in life. Then someone else came on the scene, whether it's in a workplace, in a community, or whatever, and that person's moving forward, and those people are starting to kind of get to know each other. And some people could be like, you might seem like a lovely person, but yeah, your truth is different than my truth. And again, if some of those people, I've already been in relationships, I don't want to do relationships anymore. I'm not doing love anymore. I'm going to stay single. I might just go indulge myself in the world. Or I'm more inspired to just maybe focus on my career or something. I don't even want to get tangled up in love anymore. Didn't work, which is too bad, you know? Um, but some other people initially might think, I could like you, but again, depending on where people are at of getting out of something else that ended, sometimes some people are like, I can like you, I can know you, we can work together, we can live in the same community, socialize, but some people still need to do some work just to work through because, you know, we all, when we were younger, could have gotten in relationships more quickly after another relationship just because we were sad and we wanted to feel better. But that can be us operating a little bit more out of our ego. And, the Queen of Cups I view as Scorpio, which is that we are these emotionally complex human beings. And we could think, nope, that didn't work out, whatever, I'm going to move forward with someone else. But we could be kind of living a little bit in illusion because we didn't really process kind of more emotionally detaching and closing out a cycle. And some people have kind of learned those lessons in life that it's like, I want to take this time to really make sure that when I go to get in a new relationship, I want to know that I have emotionally dealt with the truth of that situation. I know that I am independent of it, that I don't have an interest of getting back in it, and that if I were to get in a relationship with someone else, I really am ready to emotionally invest in those people. And some of you could know people, everybody could have gotten out of something at some point in time. And again, we kind of can be at different stages of that. Some of you are over here and you still could have come on the scene somewhere, or you could have been somewhere and someone came on the scene. But you could be the one who's much more worked through those things, and you could kind of be ready to be in a relationship, and the other person's like just come out of it. And so there you might think, you know what? Um, Kind of like, let's be friends for a while. I don't want to get in a relationship with someone who's still maybe more emotionally attached to someone else still, and you really kind of haven't worked through it. You might think you have, but let's just see how things go. Just be friends, get to know each other more. And maybe as time goes by, and again, kind of listening to my intuition about where I think everyone's at, we'll see. But some shadowy people are going out in the world. And They could definitely be looking for someone who doesn't know the truth of them, for some. And they're going to try to create this illusion, probably about why that other relationship didn't work out, and try to create the illusion they're more stable and insightful and grounded and loving than they really are. And those people will go on a journey until that person kind of gets to the place where they have to decide, am I willing to stay in this even though I don't really feel like it's love, and you know, or not? And that's, everybody has free will to manifest what they want. You got this life to do what you want. Everybody's at different places in their life and has to take different things into consideration. The people who kind of believe that, you know, God wants you to have your dreams come into reality and is willing to work with you, but you have to not sacrifice your truth. Kind of like if you were more loving and inspired and hopeful and believing in love, but then you could meet someone who's a little more worldly. Are you willing to sacrifice this to align with that? And hoping it'll all just work out. But, and some people are like, no, I've already kind of been in more mismatched relationships. I know that that's just something I can't sacrifice. And other people are willing to sacrifice it. And some of the people that are already living their life like that, they already made that free will choice. And they decided to make their life more about them or the world and the status or the ego or the indulgence. And other people are like, I can't do that. So you can move forward with your truth. And I'm going to take this time to heal, meet some other people, get to know some other people, and then get ready to go out there back in the world again. But I think ultimately, for the people who really, if people who aren't motivated and inspired by love more authentically get in relationships with other people who aren't more motivated by love, that would be a just and fair relationship because their truth is the same. It's just they had the potential to become independent of their more worldly nature and have a dream come into reality from love, but they have the free will to manifest what they want to manifest. And if they're both on the same page, they're going to keep moving forward that way. And people who weren't willing or learned some lessons in life and are more about love, people who get in relationships for those reasons are going to keep moving forward together. And the people who were in a more mismatched one are going out in the world trying to find people who are more on the same page as them. And it just depends on, anytime in a relationship, we have the free will to get out of our illusions, get out of our ego, and to be willing to offer truth and love to keep growing and healing and maturing ourselves with the people we're in relationship with. And if everybody does that, those kind of relationships, so long as their truth is the same, it can move forward. But if it gets to be where someone's like, but I don't want to keep putting in the work and effort, how about you put in the work and effort? Or I want to try to manipulate you, or I want to be more immature, or I want to wear my false mask. um and if you won't let me manipulate you, or your truth is different than my truth, I want to go find someone either that I can't manipulate or find someone whose truth is the same as mine, and it won't work out. High vibe people are offering love to the world. They're inspired by truth and love. It's the truth of who they are. Doesn't mean you're ooey gooey with everyone, but you can be just and fair and loving and encouraging to people, but more the people that you're more involved in a relationship, you authentically are loving and you like to be that way with the people you're in a relationship with. And I think when you realize you're not in a relationship with other people where that's the truth of who they are, when you quit investing time and energy and effort into people who aren't like that, trust your intuition. The divine wants you to kind of get your divine inheritance, but you have to love yourself enough to kind of stand up and invest in your truth. And but you have to be patient. Shadowy energy can be, we want what we want it now, and can be impatient. You have to, it takes time, you know, and keep believing in your truth and not settling for less than you deserve. Every day that you're not in a relationship with someone who's wearing a false mask, being stubborn, being bossy, being controlling, being immature, unjust, unfair, is a good day. Enjoy the day and keep moving forward. You will find people that are more aligned with your truth as you go. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Gemini energy that they might not see coming? The Five of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Chariot. So the Chariot is Cancer energy. You were inspired to move forward, wanting to be more independent, and some other people in your life maybe didn't like you being more independent or don't want to become more independent of things or people or their ego or their illusions or their defensive nature. And because you were motivated and inspired by love, you offered truth and love to people, and the people who were like, no, this is my truth, let's do this. You accepted their truth. You got out of your ego about it. Your truth is different than my truth. You're going to move forward the way you want to move forward, and I'm going to become independent of you, and I'm going to move forward in my truth. And high vibe Leo, offer yourself that cup of love and give yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you. To keep being inspired to take that cup of love. And because of that, in the Five of Pentacles, you've detached from the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles can be a foundation that you had been holding on to that you kind of didn't want to let go of, because it kind of required you to become independent of it and kind of probably step out of your comfort zone. We all like to stay in our comfort zone. We'd all like the things that we've invested in to work out the way we wanted them to. But if they're not, are we going to keep moving forward in it because of our ego or the image or the status? Are we going to be inspired by truth and love? And if this isn't inspired by truth and love, and people maybe are acting kind of shadowy, you probably feel left out in the cold in it anyway. I would rather be free to go meet other people, maybe going in the Five of Pentacles through a period of feeling left out in the cold. But the Five of Pentacles is also Taurus energy, which is about our philosophy of life. I'm going to move forward in my truth, and my truth is I want an emotionally balanced, stable, grounded, emotionally mature, loving friendship, workplace, or relationship. And if this wasn't it, then I'm becoming independent of it. And as you keep doing that, emotionally, you're able to detach. And you get to have this new beginning. You did learn the lesson you were meant to learn. You don't have to keep repeating this cycle or with that person or other people. You now take what you learned with you moving forward. And now you move forward to learn more lessons in life. And again, moving forward, meeting other people, knowing at every stage of life, there's people who are creating an illusion, people who, all the things we just discussed. But because you know your worth and value and you've learned how to love yourself, and that's also high vibe Leo, being like loving and encouraging to yourself, like being your own best mother, father, coach voice to yourself. you're able to keep moving forward. You get to know people. The people who seem to be more on the same page as you is people you move forward with. The people who don't, you keep wishing them peace and you keep moving forward. And you will have this new inspiring beginning, because as you move forward in that energy, other people see you moving forward in that energy. They know they could either invest in you, but they have to offer truth and love. They can't wear a false mask, can't be operating from their ego, can't think it should be more about them. Got to work through these illusions that they have about relationships. Kind of grow up and mature themselves. And some people will, and some people are already there, and that's who you're kind of moving forward with or going to come in contact with. But we have to quit investing our time, energy, and effort into the people who've already shown us that's not their truth. You know, kind of, sometimes when I talk about that, it kind of makes me think of like Jesus and the disciples going out and spreading the good news, trying to offer and inspire people with truth and love to close out old ways of thinking and believing and indulging or acting, which I think the world is meant to be enjoyed. But in balance, in moderation, don't make those things the answer to your life problems, giving them more power and authority in your life than those things should have. See the truth, being inspired by truth and love. Go enjoy your life. Do it in moderation. Balance. And looking for other people who know that. But anyway, back to Jesus and the disciples. They went out and spread the good news. And if other people said, no, that's not my truth, they said, we wish you peace. And they kept moving on to go find people who were open to the good news. And some of the people you were trying to offer truth and love to turned their back to you because that wasn't their truth, or tried to manipulate you, tried to get you in your ego, tried to make you feel rejected. It's like, that's not love. I'm going to go find some people in the world who maybe do want to take truth and love and appreciate people who are more independent, who are loving and authentic. Because apparently that wasn't the kind of relationship you wanted to invest your time, energy, and effort into. And I think there will be other people who will move forward with you in that way. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy that they might not see coming up? Okay. We got the King of Swords, the Three of Cups, the Ten of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, the Queen of Wands, the King of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Knight of Cups. Well, for one, the shadowy people are like sitting here with their truth of what they think is just and fair and their Libra energy. And some people, it's like they could look victorious and successful, could be single, stable, abundant, charming, attractive, whatever they are. That they could think, I look like I have justice in the world. I have things of the world that other people want. So then they go out in the world, but it's kind of offering people this cup of illusion. I'll create the illusion like I'm willing to move forward and bring this dream into reality, but I'm really not. I want to do this. And I want to move forward like that. They turn their back on operating from a foundation of love and aligning with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature, which is going with the flow, where you listen to your intuition and you learn lessons in life and grow up and mature yourself and free yourself from your more self-protected, defensive, immature, full of yourself, or immature nature. And some people are like, no, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep using my emotions manipulatively. I think I'll be happy. I'm going to live more from my mind than my heart. I'm just going to create the illusion I'm more motivated and inspired by love. What they don't see coming is that the people ultimately the more high vibe people are going to move away from them because they're more in their Leo and their Capricorn energy of themself, inspired by truth and love. High vibe Capricorn anyone harnesses, frees themselves from shadowy Capricorn, which is the devil. These other people are more aligned with living more from their mind than their heart, turning their back on their more creative, inspired, growing and maturing themselves nature. And then they do that to the people that are high vibe in their life too. Try to manipulate and control them. Use the love that the loving people in their life have for them to try to manipulate and control them. So the more high vibe people in their life leave, and what they don't see coming is they'll probably meet someone who creates the illusion they also are like a high vibe person. Just like these people try to create an illusion they're a high vibe person. But those people are creating an illusion too. And they both might be on the same page. Both more inspired emotionally in their more worldly nature. And they could think, I mean, again, they could like each other, they could have love for each other. But the main reason for it is more driven by this love of, I want to be in a relationship. Do you want to be in a relationship? Let's get in a relationship because we both fear love or something, or being single, and we want to look like we've healed or grown or matured ourselves, or more about the money or the materialism or the things they like to indulge in, which is fine. They could be perfectly happy. They could think they have found their dream partner. It's just that some of you know the truth of who they are, and you know what it is like, and you didn't like it. And that's why you left. So I would much rather have those people in a relationship with someone who's more like themselves than trying to manipulate a more high vibrational person and keep manipulating them and keeping those people in an imbalanced, unjust, unfair relationship. Get in a relationship with someone who's more like you. But the problem is, to build a solid foundation, it has to be built on love. Otherwise, why are you in it? Well, it's good for my ego and my image. Well, because I want to be in a relationship. It makes me look victorious and successful. It makes me feel more stable and grounded. This person doesn't require me to grow or heal or mature myself. This person lets me wear my false masks. This person lets me live more from my mind than my heart. Maybe be bossy or controlling or manipulative. But the whole thing is, if someone else comes along who would either has more status or image, if that's what they're motivated by, or seems sad, and maybe would more be willing to indulge them in a relationship, or be more easy to manipulate, the other people will get out of the relationship because they're not in it for love anyway. They're just looking for what would best benefit them. Because it's really just more about them, because in their ego, they are more about themselves. So if someone else comes along where it's like, I think that would work out better for me. And that's what some of them don't see coming. They're going to move forward with someone. They could think, oh my gosh, whatever they think it's going to be, I just don't think it's going to turn out that way. It'll either be a relationship where it's not based on love, and they could have thought, love's not that important. I'm going to have sex with someone. It's more about the status, the ego, and the image. It's a problem if they've been in a relationship with people who are more just, fair, loving, and authentic. Well, then you try to go back in a relationship, because some people have done that before. What was wrong with that? I'll just go do that again. But if they've been in a relationship with people who are more authentic and loving, it kind of makes me think of the Barbie movie. Like, it's hard to go back into the box, to have been kind of inspired by someone who was more truthful and authentic, and then you're like, even though they could have ended up rejecting those people or trying to manipulate those people, it's hard to go back and do what you did before when you've already known the truth or felt the truth or seen the truth, kind of like known better. It's just like, how do you go back to being like someone who sits around and plays with trucks and Barbies. It's almost the same thing when that's not where you're at anymore. And whether they thought they had learned some lessons or not, they still had other lessons to learn that they might find going back to what they thought was their comfort zone. That's kind of not the truth of who they are. Whether they wanted to grow or heal or mature themselves in some way, they're also kind of not the same person that they were. And they might try to go back, but it's harder to go back to a way that you were before when you were kind of exposed to differently. It's just like we could be in jobs that we put up with where people acted kind of in kind of immature ways, right? And then what if you go work somewhere and people acted with more maturity or character and integrity and respect? If that job didn't work out, it's really hard to go back to the other job and put up with the bullshit again, right? Like, oh my God, you people. So that's where other people, whether they kind of knew it at the time or not, they're not the same person. And it's, even though they could like to go back to that old way, sometimes they see they have to become independent of it. But it doesn't mean they're ready to move forward the way some of the other people in their life had moved forward, because it's kind of like different lessons, and within every stage of life, if you look at from age 18 to 21 or age 21 to 25, all the kind of different lessons and life experiences you had to learn lessons from. When some people were in a relationship with these people, it's kind of like they had the emotional maturity level of like maybe a 21-year-old. But the other people maybe already were like a 25-year-old. And they had their issues and whatever, and they could have worked through things and both, but the other people were ready to move forward. And so kind of like when they move forward, they're on a different page while the other people keep repeating a pattern. The other people are learning more lessons. And so sometimes it can be hard to go back, even in friendships too, because you're just not the same person that you were. If everybody had worked on it when the opportunity was there to work on it, but I mean, it is possible sometimes that people kind of go on their parallel trajectories, but it all depends on how some situations ended. If some people had love for each other, but I'm just not ready to do that, or I'm not there yet, well, then people could circle back around. That could be what the Wheel of Fortune means. And the shadowy energy that can be that we work through some of our fears and insecurities, and we do grow up and mature ourselves, and then we do come around to other people and we are kind of more on the same page at the same time. And then if people come back together with some people, it's, are the people, have they learned these lessons that it is to not repeat some of these poor past patterns. It is to take the lessons that we each could have learned, and even if it's not an old person, new people that you meet, that we've all learned those lessons, and now it's to put those things into practice and hopefully learned that if there's something going on that's causing some conflict, we offer truth and love to it instead of turning our back on people or being bossy or being manipulative or turning our back on people, not talking to people. It's like, grow up, right? So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.